The episode opens on the sea cliffs of Driftmark, where House Velaryon lays its dead to rest not through dragonfire, as the Targaryens do, but by surrendering them to the sea. Laena's uncle, Daemon Velaryon, delivers the eulogy in High Valyrian, slipping pointed remarks about the purity of Velaryon blood while casting unmistakable glances toward Rhaenyra's sons, whose appearance bears little resemblance to Laenor's. Daemon, unable to restrain himself, breaks into laughter at the sheer pettiness of raising the matter during a funeral. His irreverent reaction earns cold stares from every corner of the gathering, immediately establishing the episode's tone. Even grief within this family cannot exist without politics intruding upon it. The ceremony concludes with Laena's stone casket being cast from the cliffside into the dark waters below, joining the remains of her ancestors beneath the sea. The image is haunting and unforgettable, a coffin swallowed by the endless ocean. It is an ancient Velaryon custom, a reminder that even in a world shaped by dragons and Valyrian fire, old traditions endure. The gathering that follows reveals the shifting political landscape of Westeros. Alicent and her allies have quietly gained significant ground. Larys Strong, after orchestrating the deaths of his father and brother, has inherited Harrenhal, while Otto Hightower has reclaimed his position as Hand of the King following Lionel Strong's murder. The Greens arrive at Driftmark already ascendant, while the Blacks arrive divided, anxious, and increasingly vulnerable. One of the wake's most striking contrasts lies between Larys Strong and young Lucerys Velaryon. Larys stands almost radiant with pride over the lordship he gained through calculated murder, while Lucerys breaks down in tears when Corlys tells him he will one day inherit Driftmark. The boy confesses that he does not want the title because it would mean Corlys and Laenor must first be dead. In a hall filled with men and women willing to seize power by any means necessary, a child recoils from the very idea of inheritance. Among the episode's most emotionally devastating moments is the conversation between Rhaenys and Corlys. Husband and wife, both survivors of dynastic disappointment, mourn their daughter while simultaneously negotiating the future of their house. Rhaenys urges Corlys to abandon his obsession with keeping Driftmark tied to the Iron Throne and instead pass the succession through Laena's daughters, beginning with Baela, rather than through Lucerys. Her argument is rooted in grief but sharpened by realism. Laena's children carry unmistakable Velaryon blood, whereas Rhaenyra's sons, as everyone present understands, are fathered by Harwin Strong. Corlys responds with one of the episode's defining lines. History does not remember blood, it remembers names. The statement is deeply cynical, yet undeniably true. Corlys Velaryon has spent his life constructing a legacy around his name. The Sea Snake, master of the greatest fleet in the world and the most traveled man in Westerosi history. He understands better than anyone that legitimacy is ultimately a story told by the powerful and preserved by survivors. If Rhaenyra's sons bear the Velaryon name, history will remember them as Velaryons. To Corlys, blood matters far less than legacy. Rhaenys does not accept this reasoning, but neither does she possess the authority to overrule it. Corlys will name his heir as he chooses, and Rhaenys will continue to mourn what has already been lost. Their exchange encapsulates their entire marriage in a single conversation. Later that night, Rhaenyra walks the beach with Daemon and finally speaks openly about the emptiness of her marriage to Laenor. She confesses that she found love and comfort elsewhere, with Harwin Strong, and blames Daemon for abandoning her when he departed for Pentos. Beneath the sound of crashing waves, the two finally give in to the tension that has defined their relationship since the series began. They kiss, and before long, sleep together on the beach only hours after Laena's funeral. The scene is intentionally uncomfortable, yet emotionally earned. Every unresolved feeling between them, from their night wandering through King's Landing to the brothel scandal, years of separation, and the lives they built apart, converges here. Their union is driven not only by desire but by the loneliness of two Targaryens who have never truly found belonging anywhere else. In the conversation that follows, Rhaenyra tells Daemon he needs him beside her because conflict with Alicent has become inevitable. Daemon replies that they could only marry if Laenor were dead. Rhaenyra quietly acknowledges that she understands. Neither speaks the implication aloud because neither needs to. While Rhaenyra and Daemon walk the shore, Aemond undertakes a far more consequential act. Slipping away from the castle under the cover of darkness, he approaches Vhagar, Laena's dragon and the largest living dragon in the world, now riderless for the first time in years. Armed with courage, desperation, and the fierce determination of a boy mocked his entire life for lacking a dragon, Aemond attempts to claim her. Vhagar initially resists, ancient and stubborn, still bearing the memory of her previous rider. But eventually she yields. Aemond climbs onto her back and commands her into the night sky. The sequence becomes one of the most breathtaking dragon scenes in the series. A young prince soaring over the sea atop the mightiest dragon alive. In a single night, every humiliation Aemond endured, from the pink dread prank to years of ridicule, is erased. He has not merely claimed a dragon, but has claimed Vhagar herself, a beast so immense that every other dragon in Westeros pales beside her. Baela and Rhaenyra witness Vhagar's flight from their window and alert Jace and Luke. Together, the four children confront Aemond on the beach. Rhaenyra, furious that her mother's dragon was claimed before she had the chance, demands answers. Aemond, hardened by years of mockery, responds with brutal cruelty. You should have claimed her. Maybe your cousins can find you a pig to ride. It would suit you. The confrontation quickly escalates into violence. During the fight, Aemond calls Jace and Luke bastards, a word in Westeros that carries the weight of both insult and political accusation. When Aemond threatens Jace with a rock, Lucerys reacts instinctively, slashing at him with a knife and taking out his left eye. The injury changes everything. Though the wound will heal, the eye is permanently lost. Aemond will carry the scar for the rest of his life, wearing it both as armor and as a symbol of vengeance. The fact that Luke caused it transforms their rivalry into one of the most deeply personal conflicts of the coming war. When the children are brought before Viserys, Aemond delivers one of the episode's coldest lines. Do not mourn me, mother. It was a fair exchange. I may have lost an eye, but I gained a dragon. The statement is chilling because it is entirely true. The boy once mocked with a pig now rides the greatest dragon alive. In the brutal arithmetic of power, the bargain is more than worthwhile. The confrontation among the adults that follows is the true centerpiece of the episode and arguably the most important scene of the season. It marks the moment the Cold War between the Blacks and Greens openly erupts. Rhaenyra demands that Aemond be sharply questioned for calling her sons bastards, language that strongly implies torture in Westerosi political culture. Alicent dismisses the insult as childish taunting. Viserys, still desperately clinging to the fiction that Rhaenyra's children are Laenors, demands to know who told Aemond such accusations. It is Aegon who answers with devastating honesty. We know, father. Everyone knows. Just look at them. The line cuts deeper than any accusation because it is undeniably obvious. Viserys, shaken but unwilling to confront reality, decrees that anyone who questions the legitimacy of Rhaenyra's sons will lose their tongue. For Alicent, the judgment is unbearable. Her son has permanently lost an eye, yet Viserys refuses to punish Luke or even acknowledge the deeper truth behind the conflict. Enraged, Alicent seizes Viserys Velaryon's steel dagger, the same blade tied to Aegon the Conqueror's prophecy, and lunges toward Lucerys. Rhaenyra steps between them, but Alicent's strike cuts her arm. The room falls silent. In the aftermath, Rhaenyra stares at the blood on her arm before delivering a devastating condemnation. You've been hiding beneath the cloak of your own righteousness. But now they see you as you are. The line lands with such force because Alicent knows it is true. In front of the entire court, she has attacked the king's daughter with the king's own blade. Whatever moral superiority she once claimed vanishes in a moment of uncontrollable fury. Yet the assault goes unpunished. Viserys, incapable of grasping the magnitude of what has occurred, attempts to end the matter through royal decree. The moral order of the court has completely collapsed. Afterward, Otto Hightower quietly tells Alicent that he is proud of her resolve. It is a chilling exchange between father and daughter. Otto has spent years engineering precisely this kind of crisis, and now Alicent has finally become the political weapon he always intended her to be. The war the Greens have prepared for in silence is no longer hidden. Meanwhile, Daemon warns Rhaenyra that love and respect alone are not enough for a ruler. Without fear, power means nothing. For perhaps the first time, he begins to think not as a reckless prince, but as the future leader of a faction preparing for civil war. The episode's final act is simultaneously romantic and morally disturbing, refusing to resolve the tension between the two. Daemon secretly approaches Ser Carl Corey, Laenor's lover, and offers him a bargain. Across the narrow sea, Daemon explains, there are places where a man's name matters far less than his gold. In exchange, Daemon asks only for a quick death, one with witnesses. What follows appears to be Laenor's murder during a staged fight at high tide. Corlys and Rhaenys later discover a burned corpse and believe it to be their son. In truth, the body belongs to an unfortunate guard killed by Daemon, while Laenor escapes across the sea with Carl, free at last to live openly as himself. The moral implications are deeply unsettling. Corlys and Rhaenys, having already buried a daughter, are now forced to grieve a son who is not truly dead. Rhaenyra and Daemon knowingly inflict that pain upon them in pursuit of their own future. Yet there is also genuine mercy within the deception. For the first time in his life, Laenor is free. He and Carl can finally live without pretense, though that freedom comes at the irreversible cost of abandoning home and family forever. That same night, Daemon and Rhaenyra marry in the old Valyrian tradition. In a private ceremony witnessed only by their children, they cut their palms and bind themselves together in blood. Let us bind our blood, just as Aegon the Conqueror did with his sisters, Rhaenyra declares. The ceremony is intimate, solemn, and starkly different from Rhaenyra's first wedding, which descended into violence before the eyes of the court. This marriage also ends in blood, but this time the blood is chosen. And as their children watch from the shadows, the next generation of the coming war quietly takes shape. Kindly like and subscribe to this channel for more episodes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.